Welcome to Psychic Station. There's an undeniable truth we often refuse to confront in society. The structures and systems we believe in, the ones that we blindly follow, may be the very things that keep us from understanding ourselves, each other, and the world around us. We live in a world that tells us who we should be, how we should feel, and even how we should think. This societal pressure has created an environment where many of us are simply trying to survive, rather than truly live. Take a moment to consider how we treat mental health. In the US, we have access to countless resources, books, articles, podcasts, therapy. But in many ways, we're more mentally exhausted than ever before. Why is that? It's because our entire system is designed for productivity, not for personal healing. The societal expectation of success, the need to be constantly on, constantly striving for the next milestone, leaves little room for introspection or healing. Mental health, unfortunately, becomes a secondary concern. People suffering from mental illnesses often feel trapped in a cycle of self-blame and shame. There's this ever-present fear of being judged, of being viewed as weak or broken. It's as if the system is telling us, "You can't afford to be unwell." The truth is, many of us are struggling under the weight of mental health issues that we don't even fully understand, because we haven't been taught how to process or talk about them. Think about your own life for a moment. How many times have you pushed through something painful because you feared the judgment of others? How many times have you swallowed your emotions, ignoring your own needs, because society told you that your well-being wasn't as important as your success or your appearance? This isn't just a mental health issue, it's a societal one. It speaks to the heart of a culture that values appearance over authenticity, performance over well-being. It's not just about work either. It's about relationships, family dynamics, and how we interact with one another. In this rush to meet societal expectations, we lose ourselves. There's a danger in ignoring the human aspect of our existence. We can't function like machines, and we certainly can't live authentically if we're constantly hiding parts of ourselves in order to fit in. Real healing doesn't come from ignoring what's broken, it comes from acknowledging the pain, learning from it, and embracing the parts of ourselves that we often want to bury. But to do that, we need to confront the societal pressures that tell us we need to be something other than who we truly are. We have created a culture that's more concerned with fitting in than with being real. We're taught to suppress our feelings, ignore our emotions, and chase after success at any cost. But at what price does this come? It's time we question this mindset. Is the pursuit of success and perfection really worth sacrificing our mental and emotional well-being? This pressure to succeed, to keep pushing, to present an image of perfection, is even more acute in today's social media-driven world. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok have created an environment where the line between reality and illusion has become dangerously blurred. The polished images we see online don't reflect the complexity of real human lives. Instead, they fuel unrealistic expectations. We've all been there, scrolling through endless posts showcasing other people's perfect lives. At first, it feels like harmless entertainment, but over time, it starts to chip away at our sense of self-worth. You start to compare your behind-the-scenes struggles with someone else's highlight reel. You look at their flawless photos, their apparent success, their happiness, and begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why isn't my life like that? This comparison game becomes exhausting. The pressure to fit into these curated versions of life is intense. Yet, what we fail to acknowledge is that these portrayals are often distorted. They're the carefully constructed faces of a society that places value on external appearances rather than genuine emotional depth. The result? We find ourselves chasing after a version of success that isn't even real. But the deeper issue here isn't just about the false nature of social media, it's about how we internalize these illusions. We begin to believe that this is what life is supposed to look like. We mistake filtered perfection for reality, and start to measure our worth based on a standard that is impossible to meet. In this race for validation, we lose sight of what truly matters: our well-being, our relationships, our authenticity. The impact is profound. People today are more isolated than ever. We have more friends on social media than previous generations, yet studies show that loneliness is at an all-time high. We've created an environment where connection is superficial, and true emotional intimacy is harder to find. The constant pressure to conform, to keep up, to perform, this takes a toll on our mental and emotional health. Look at the story of a young woman in her mid-20s. She's always been active on social media, posting photos of her travels, her friendships, her career successes. To the outside world, she appears to have it all together. But beneath the surface, she's struggling with anxiety and depression. She's overwhelmed by the fear of missing out, the need to stay relevant, the constant cycle of posting and updating, of presenting her best self. One day, she confides in a close friend. "I feel like I'm losing myself. I don't know who I am without the filters." This statement isn't just a personal cry for help, it's a reflection of a larger societal issue. We're living in an age where the pressure to be perfect is relentless, and the consequences of this pressure are starting to show. The truth is, we're all part of this system. We contribute to it by validating these distorted portrayals of success, happiness, and achievement. We like the posts, we comment on the photos, we share the content, and in doing so, we reinforce the idea that these unrealistic standards are something we should aspire to. But it's time we question, is this really the kind of world we want to live in? A world where our worth is based on an illusion. What we need to understand is that this cycle of self-comparison, of measuring our worth by external standards, is not just a temporary issue, it's a systemic problem. The cultural obsession with perfection is so deeply ingrained that it has become the lens through which we view success, happiness, and even love. We're told that to be worthy, we need to be flawless in every area of our lives, our appearance, our careers, our relationships. If we fail to meet these expectations, we internalize it as personal failure. But when did we lose sight of what really matters? What happened to authenticity? What happened to being honest about our struggles, our vulnerabilities, our imperfections? Take a moment to think about the last time you were truly open with someone about your challenges. How often do we hold back, afraid of being judged or rejected for showing our true selves? The pressure to present a curated image of our lives has created a barrier between us and real connection. We're afraid that if we let our guard down, if we reveal our flaws, we'll be seen as weak or unworthy. In reality, it's the opposite. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. When we allow ourselves to be open and authentic, we invite others to do the same. It's through these real, unfiltered interactions that we build deeper, more meaningful relationships. But in a society obsessed with perfection, we often fail to see that. This obsession with perfection, however, isn't just a social issue, it's a deeply emotional one. It's about how we feel about ourselves and the constant anxiety we experience trying to measure up to these impossible standards. It's about the self-doubt that creeps in when we don't feel like we fit into the perfect mold. It's about the depression that follows when we think we're falling behind. The truth is, we're all human. We're all flawed. We all have moments of doubt, of fear, of failure. And that's okay. It's okay to not have everything figured out. It's okay to make mistakes. These imperfections are what make us who we are, and they're what make us relatable to others. Let's take a step back and consider the bigger picture. The pursuit of perfection isn't just damaging on an individual level, it's having a ripple effect on society as a whole. When we prioritize appearances over substance, when we worship superficial success, we undermine the importance of emotional intelligence, personal growth, and true connection. This creates a toxic cycle, where people are more focused on keeping up appearances than on taking care of their mental health or nurturing their relationships. We live in a world where the pursuit of external validation has become so dominant that it's eroding the very things that make life meaningful. Think about it. How many of us spend hours each day perfecting our social media profiles, curating the perfect image of our lives, while our mental and emotional health deteriorates in silence? We're told to look a certain way, act a certain way, and achieve certain things, all while ignoring the internal battles we're fighting. But here's the catch: we can break this cycle. It starts with a change in perspective, a shift away from the external to the internal. It starts with prioritizing our mental health, our emotional well-being, and our personal growth over the number of likes or followers we have. We need to stop measuring our worth by the validation we receive from others and start measuring it by how we feel about ourselves, how we treat others, and how we take care of our inner selves. The solution to this issue doesn't lie in abandoning ambition or striving for excellence. Those are not inherently bad things. What we need to shift is our relationship with success. We need to redefine what success means in a world where mental health is just as important as career achievement. Success shouldn't only be measured by the number of accolades or the perfect image we project to the outside world. Success should be about the peace we feel within ourselves, the resilience we develop through our struggles, and the authentic connections we cultivate with others. We need to ask ourselves some tough questions. Why do we feel the need to constantly compare ourselves to others? Why do we tie our self-worth to things that are often out of our control, like how many people like our posts, or how much money we make, or how well we perform in a competitive job market? The reality is that the people we admire and look up to are often battling the same insecurities, doubts, and pressures we are. Their seemingly perfect lives are just as fragile and vulnerable as our own. Yet, we rarely see that side of the story. We only see the curated version, the polished highlight reel that doesn't capture the whole picture. This is what keeps the cycle going. By presenting a distorted version of success, we convince others to chase after an unattainable ideal, perpetuating the feeling of inadequacy in all of us. So, how do we break free from this cycle? How do we stop feeding into this toxic need for perfection? It starts with self-acceptance. We must learn to be comfortable with who we are, flaws and all. We need to stop expecting perfection from ourselves and others. Embrace your unique journey, your struggles, and your growth. Each day is an opportunity to redefine what success means to you, not based on what society tells you is valuable, but based on your own internal compass. It's time we shift the conversation from perfection to authenticity. Instead of focusing on fitting into a mold, we should focus on breaking the mold and creating a life that reflects our true selves, unfiltered, imperfect, and deeply human. By doing so, we not only liberate ourselves but also inspire others to do the same. We live in a world that often prioritizes surface-level achievements, but the true measure of success is the depth of our character, the strength of our relationships, and our ability to grow through adversity. Let go of the pressure to be perfect, and embrace the beauty of imperfection. Because, in the end, it's not perfection that makes life meaningful, it's authenticity, vulnerability, and connection. Thank you for being part of this journey with Psychic Station. Share your feedback in the comments below. Your voice helps shape our journey forward. See you in the next video.